sea, surf, sunshine. That's how a lot of people think of Cornwall. But for those of us living here all year round, it's more about the bricks and mortar. Housing is a big issue in Cornwall. Buying a house, renting a house, even finding a house you can afford. These are things that affect all of us. Hi, I'm Gabriel, a 13-year-old boy from St Ives, Cornwall. I've been invited by Cornwall Council to take a good, hard look at what affordable housing really means. Let's see what we can find out. Gabby is a member of the National Youth Parliament for Cornwall. She's already worried about the housing costs and how it will affect her in the future. How much do you reckon those houses over there would have cost?
Well, for example, they were built in the 1960s, 70s, so they wouldn't cost anywhere near as much as those houses at Nansledden cost, which I know for a fact could come in at least £500,000.
For Gabby, it's not an issue young people can ignore.
Younger generations, like my generation and your generation, will struggle to find a house in the future, which means we might be stuck living with our parents for whoever knows how long, which isn't a bad thing, but you never get to have a life of your own. It also means you may be forced to move out of Cornwall, which will decrease the population in Cornwall, and lots of us love Cornwall and we wouldn't want to move out of it, but we might not have a choice.
Gabby's concerns for her future are already a reality for 27-year-old Ollie Steers from Truro. Despite having a full-time job, he can't yet afford to buy.
I'm currently living with my wife in rented accommodation, private rented accommodation in Cornwall. We're currently looking to buy our first home, and so we're in the early stages of that process.
How long have you been trying to find somewhere?
We've been hoping to buy for a couple of years now, since we both left university in 2019 and got full-time employment. We have been hoping to buy, but it's only until recently that my parents offered to lend us some money that we're in a situation where we are able to buy.
This is County Hall, where all the big decisions are made. There are 23,000 people on the housing register in Cornwall. That is roughly the equivalent of all the population of Truro. 700 households are in emergency accommodation. That's 450 more than pre-pandemic. So, what does affordable housing really mean? Councillor Ollie Monk is the Cabinet Member for Housing and Planning at Cornwall Council.
So affordable housing is a term that's used across a wide spectrum of housing need. So affordable can mean anything from sort of good old-fashioned council housing, or it can mean affordable rent, which is a rent, say if it's £1,000 a month, affordable rent means they knock 20% off the open market rent. So instead of being £1,000, it would be £800. And it can be shared ownership as well, where government schemes or grants can discount the open market sale. So if a house is 350 grand, you might get it for 250 because 100,000 of it has had a grant payment towards it, and then you might only buy a little proportion of it, but it allows people to get onto the housing market.
Scenes like this have been happening all over Cornwall. 52,500 homes have been planned to be built between 2010 and 2030 in Cornwall. And 30% of all these houses being built must be affordable. Sophia and James are head girl and head boy in their final year of primary school. This timescale will affect them too.
Well, I worry that when I'm older I won't be able to get a house here, and I may have to move to the city or something where things are more cheaper, but it won't be as pretty as it is here though.
Yeah, because I think I want to stay in Cornwall for most of my life because it's just a lovely place to live, and if it carries on like this I think I won't be able to live here really.
So, to recap then, affordable housing is housing for sale or rent for people who cannot afford to buy or rent without help. Council houses, discounts on private rentals, or government grants towards shared ownership. This is Nansledden, one of the biggest housing developments in Cornwall. This is part of the county plan. In charge of that, and my future, is Louise Wood. What is the council's long-term plan to deal with the housing crisis?
Yeah, so thanks Gabriel. So the council's really concerned about housing and it's one of our top priorities and the thing that's really on our mind. And we look ahead to the future, we look ahead about 15 years in the future, and we think about what we need to do in terms of new development. So we have a suite of planning policies which look at where new development should go, how much new jobs should we plan for, how many homes should we plan for, what environmental protections should we plan for, and we think about that in terms of where places should grow, where they shouldn't grow, and we do that on a rolling basis. So it's really important to look ahead.
Sam Irving is Head of Housing Delivery and Regeneration. Is the problem that we're not building enough houses?
It's certainly a big part of the problem. We've got very large demand. That demand has gone sky high since the pandemic particularly. We've got people now who are very, very desperate for homes of all types. People need to rent, people need to buy. And if you think about it in simple terms, the only way we're going to be able to get ourselves out of this problem ultimately is to build more homes. There's a role for the existing stock to play, but we have to build more.
But is all this enough right now? Councillor Monk says there is still more to do.
Is it enough? It needs to be enough, and we're working very, very hard to make sure we increase the provision as fast as we possibly can. But we realise right now that we need to ensure that we prioritise that local need for local people to give them a house that they need to rent or to buy. And then moving forward, we need to encourage people from Cornwall into property and make sure that they get first bite of any property that's become available.
Has it been getting worse?
It has been getting worse. I think even before the pandemic, Cornwall was not particularly affordable for the first-time buyer, and during the pandemic and now afterwards, Cornwall's a lot more of a popular place for people to buy, so the market here has gone up a lot, making it even more difficult for us. So yeah, I think it's definitely gotten worse.
Do you feel like this can only get worse?
I feel that it's really important to think and have a positive vision of what we can do. So my view of all these things is that it can be solved. I look around in the job that I do all the time and I see plenty of places where we can develop new homes, plenty of redundant sites where we can regenerate them and build new homes, plenty of opportunity for us to work with some of our social housing provider partners so that they can deliver more affordable homes. So I really think we can solve it. I really think we can. It's about our will and how we collectively work together to do it.
What are your hopes for the future?
That everything gets more affordable and everyone who wants a house here can actually get a house and don't have to live with your parents or your family and friends for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I agree. I think everybody should be able to live where they want and be able to buy a house where they want it.
So, there you have it. I've talked to young people and the people in charge. I know there's still worries, but there's also a commitment to change. I hope this commitment happens for Gabby, for James, for Sophia, and for Ollie, and also me, but most importantly for us all.